It's always a massive part of every rugby league season when we get to take a look at the next big crop of young up and coming talents. In 2024, we saw the emergence of some brilliant young rookies, including the likes of Jack Bostock, Ethan Strange, Kale Iro, and Lockie Galvin. So who's next in 2025? Well, that's what we're here to discuss. What's going on, guys? My name is Burgz, your tipping savant and opinion piece specialist here on The Casual Athlete. And one of my favourite things to discuss each and every year at the start of the NRL season is which rookies are going to step up. In essence, who's going to create a big splash and make a name for themselves as the next big NRL superstar. So I've taken the time out to compile a list of 20 players who have played less than 5 NRL games in their young careers so far, and who I believe will make a name for themselves this season. Guys, remember, this list is purely subjective, and if you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear about them down in the comments. This is a list of who I believe has the biggest opportunity this year to either steal a starting gig or grab a regular bench spot. So without further ado, let's get into it. At number 20, we're starting out with a guy who appeared on my Rookies to Watch video last season in Ben Takura, who definitely will be looking to make a bigger impact this season than he did last year. Unfortunately for Ben in 2024, his biggest criticisms came when his lateral movement and general speed came into question, and whether or not he was ready to maintain a first grade schedule. Time will tell when it comes to Ben, but he's an absolute monster, and it's hard for me not to see Madge using him in some way in 2025. In the 19th spot, I've got Cody Hopwood from the Knights. Now, Cody starred for the New South Wales Blues under-19 squad last year, and with the absence of Daniel Saifidi and Leo Thompson seemingly on his way out of the club, it's really interesting to see if Cody can get a spot either on the bench or somehow make it into the starting side for the Knights this year, especially if their vision is towards the future. I just wonder, with Adam O'Brien at the helm, it's a bit hard for me to see if Cody can surpass players like Dylan Lucas, Kai Pearce-Paul, and Tyson Frizzell to get into either a bench spot or a starting spot this year, but we will have to see, but it's a big if right now. At 18, it's Israel Leota from the Broncos. For mine, there's no doubting Leota's talent. He's a former Queensland under-19s representative player, but he might need a few injuries to go his way if he's going to get into this Broncos side. He's a powerful player, and it will be really interesting to see if Madge wants to utilise his 100 kilo, 6'3" frame. I think with some questions around whether Dean Mariner can play centre and potentially Selwyn Cobbo shifting spots from centre to wing, and then also him possibly moving away from the club, it's a really good time to get Leota in to start him early, and he can be there for a number of years. Moving right along to 17 now, and we have Matt Arthur, who made the move from Parramatta to the Knights at the end of last season. Another under-19s Blues representative, Matt actually got his chance in the NRL last year, playing a couple of nice games off the bench for the Parramatta Eels. And there was some talks that Jaden Brayley was potentially going to move on from the Knights at the end of last season. However, that didn't happen, and therefore Matt has moved a little bit further down my list. With Adam O'Brien's stubbornness to stick with players like Phoenix Crossland, it's a bit hard for me to see where Matt fits into this Knights roster. Whether he gets a spot on the bench ahead of Crossland, or he may need some injuries to go his way if he's going to get into that spot for the Knights. At 16, it's Carter Gordon at the Titans. The hype train is well and truly behind the young rugby convert, but it appears early on that Des is moving towards more of a running halves game with Brimson and Jaden Campbell in the halves. And with guys like Foran still hanging around and a lot of young halves coming through the ranks, it's a bit difficult for me to see if Carter can nail down a starting spot or even get into the team at all at this point, but I do have him on the list. I just couldn't put him any higher. If injury strikes, who knows? Carter could definitely play a massive role in the Titans season. Number 15 is Sav Tamale for the Canberra Raiders. There's definitely some opportunities in the Canberra outside backs, but it's really difficult for me to see if Ricky will actually stick with those youngsters. Tamale is big, strong, and athletic, everything you want your modern day outside back to be. He's just competing with a lot of other guys right now for those spots. Although I do love the Raiders' recent turn to signing some youngsters. They currently have 5 former under-19s New South Wales Blues players on their roster, and that can only set them up well for the future. And speaking of one of those New South Wales under-19s Blues representatives, we have Miles Martin in at the 14th spot. Miles played for the Knights last year, but moved to the Canberra Raiders in search of greener pastures at the end of last season. The release of some forwards at Canberra in the form of Emre Guler and Elliott Whitehead, who moved back to the Super League, provides some gaps for Canberra that they definitely need to be filled. But whether Ricky will turn to Martin to plug these holes is a possibility, but a relative uncertainty at this point. Next up, it's Robert Darby from the North Queensland Cowboys. Darby could be a starter in round 1 as he's mostly fighting with Semi Valame for the vacant Kyle Felt wing spot. Darby has had some monster games for PNG of late, and he has speed to burn, man. The guy is super quick. The only knock on him that I can think of to this point in his career is that injuries have definitely held back his progress. If he can stay fit, I'm sure he'll be a massive asset to this Cowboys team for the 2025 season. And in at 12, we head back to the nation's capital for Ethan Sanders at the Canberra Raiders. Also part of the under-19s New South Wales contingent down in Canberra, Ethan actually got his taste of NRL action last year for the Parramatta Eels. When Ethan got his opportunity last year, I thought he was actually a better fit for Parramatta at the time than Dejan Arce. He had a solid kicking game as well as some pretty reliable defence, which is everything that you want in a young half. And down in Canberra, whether he plays 6 next to Fogarty or 7 in the future next to Ethan Strange, his under-19s New South Wales teammate, I definitely think that Parramatta will be regretting this one in a couple of years. Just before we get into the top 10, we have number 11 with Jamal Shibasaki from the North Queensland Cowboys. Jamal is an absolute weapon, and as we know, the Cowboys are a massive second rower factory, producing players like Connolly Lemuelu, Fini Fuiaki, Helam Lukey, and Jeremiah Nene in recent seasons. Unfortunately though, the Cowboys will be without Helam Lukey to start this season and for the entire season as a matter of fact. They did sign John Bateman, but there was a bench spot that was always held for Fini Fuiaki last year, and I really feel like that is the opportunity here for Jamal Shibasaki. I know there's a couple of different guys hanging around that position, such as Caden Lars as well. Sam McIntyre is also on the squad still, and they did like him a lot last year. But I have the utmost confidence that Shibasaki will come through and be able to give those breaks to John Bateman and Jeremiah Nene without losing any of the attacking or defensive potency that those two bring. Into the heavy hitters now, and at number 10 we have Matty Nicholson, who's just come over from the Super League. And all I've got to say is, geez, the Canberra Raiders really love a pommy back rower. Matty, as I said, has come to Canberra from the Super League, having played over 40 games for the Warrington Wolves, scoring 18 tries in the process. Having already represented his country in 2023 at just 19 years of age, Matty has come to the NRL to test his mettle against the best in the business. With Elliott Whitehead now out of the picture and the injury concerns that surround Zach Hosking, I could see Matty getting into the starting side, and hopefully Ricky sticks with him long term because he is one damaging ball runner. Single digits now, and at number 9 we have Robert Toyer from the Sydney Roosters. Robert hasn't had the most ideal start to his rugby league journey, with injuries definitely holding back what would have been a certain debut by this point. The 20-year-old is a former Queensland under-19s representative player and has one of the biggest opportunities to possibly steal a starting spot for the Roosters this year, with the likes of Joseph Suali'i, Joey Manu and Michael Jennings moving out of the outside backs. Robert's main competition for spots are the ever-unlucky Billy Smith and the newest recruit from rugby, who played one game last year, Mark Nwanganitawase. And speaking of Mark, everybody expects Mark Nwanganitawase to cement a starting spot in the Roosters' side this season. There's a lot of talk going around as to whether his best position will be on the wing or at centre, and as we know, the harder defensive job is in the centres, and it's looking more likely that that is going to be the case for Mark this season. But the good thing is he actually got a taste of NRL last year, playing one game in round 27. It was a good performance and definitely something to build off. I think even after one game, he convinced a lot of people that he certainly has the talent to compete at the NRL level. At 7, it's a little dog's number 7 in Mitchell Woods. The hype and talk around this kid is genuinely hard to get away from at times. In 2024, he steered the SG Bulldog side to their first grand final appearance since 2018. His achievements at just 18 years of age are certainly ringing loud in the ears of many people who follow the game, especially those on his own team, and the pressure is definitely being applied to players like Toby Sexton, who is yet to confirm whether he'll be at the Dogs beyond the 2026 season. It may be a year or two too early for this one, but make no bones about it, if Sexton goes down or doesn't perform, then Mitchell Woods will be thrown into the fire, and I have no doubt that he will pass with some flying colours. His strong kicking game and apt running game will be a sight to behold. Watch this space. In at 6, it's Jamie Humphries from the Rabbitohs. I just have one question. How/why did Manly let this kid go? Coming to Redfern from the Northern Beaches, Jamie enters the 2025 season having gotten a taste of first grade last year, where he showed tremendous promise. His versatility not only as a half, but as a hooker can't be ignored, and these are two very problem positions heading into the 25 season for the Rabbitohs. Whether it be a question of who will play halfback or the recent departure of Damien Cook leaving a pretty big hole at hooker, I have no doubt that Jamie Humphries will play a big part in what will be a bounce-back season for the Rabbitohs. In at 5, it's Tom Duffy from the Cowboys. Okay, I swear to God, if the Cowboys continue with Jake Clifford at halfback, I will be genuinely pissed off. Duffy has been a heavily pursued prospect for a number of seasons now, and the Cowboys have actually managed to hold on to him, and it has to be for a reason. The departure of Chad Townsend leaves 3 options who could take up the mantle as Cowboys halfback this year. The aforementioned Jake Clifford, Jackson Purdue, who I think is more suited to being an outside back, or 5'8", or Tom Duffy, who has played halfback his entire junior career. Tom Dearden is currently playing some of the best football of his career, and he needs someone next to him who's going to alleviate some of the responsibilities and absorb some of the pressure and take the wind out of the game to allow him to play at his best. And in my opinion, Duffy is that guy, and if Peyton can't see that, he may as well resign tomorrow. At 4, we have Loco Pacifici Tonga from the Dragons. Weighing in at 120 kilos and standing 193 centimeters tall, Loco is a mouth-watering prop prospect for the 2025 season. He's got the size and speed that can really only be compared to one player, and that player is Payne Haas. At only 19, he absolutely manhandles players his own age and is absolutely ridiculously tough to put down. He sadly didn't make his NRL debut last year despite playing in the pre-season for the Dragons, but I feel like there could be a change on the cards with guys like Francis Molo leaving the club. I know Emre Gula just got there, but I feel like Loco could really be the spark plug. There's a few youngsters trying to get their shot in the Dragons side right now in what is an aging roster, and I feel like Loco could be one of the biggest benefactors of this. Into the top 3, and at number 3, it's Blake Steep from the Roosters. The highly touted middle forward has been on the radar for a while now, but I feel like this year is definitely the year. He's already played 3 games of NRL to this point, and with the exits of guys like Jared Hargraves and Satili Tupanua, this provides more opportunities for Blake to cement a spot in the team. He's a dependable defender, crafty, and good ball-playing lock who could definitely plug some holes with the injuries that the Roosters currently have, especially at the start of the season. Whether it be off the bench or in the starting side, I definitely think we're going to be seeing a lot more of Blake Steep this year. Just missing out on the number 1 spot, I have Lewis Dodd from the Rabbitohs. This 23-year-old English import has already amassed 84 games over his young career in the Super League. As mentioned with Jamie Humphries earlier, Dodd has a tremendous opportunity here, and it is just too good to ignore. Ilias is gone, Hawkins is gone, and there's a glaring opening at halfback, and I somehow don't really see Jaden Sullivan or Josh Schuster being the answer. Lewis needs to come in and provide an outlet for Cody Walker and become someone that he can depend on and create when things aren't going Walker's way. I'm really excited to see what the Englishman can do, and hopefully Wayne Bennett can extract the best out of him, as he seems to do with quite a lot of players. And number 1, it's Isaiah Iongi from the Parramatta Eels. Okay, how was this bloke not going to be number 1? One of the biggest off-season moves, that's for sure. Iongi is a meter-reading, tackle-breaking speedster out of the backfield. Replacing Clint Gutherson in the fullback role won't be easy, but 22-year-old Iongi will have ample opportunity to prove that he not only belongs at NRL level, but he can be an important part of an Eels team that is looking to get back towards final success. So that's it for my list today, guys. Which NRL rookie do you think will have the biggest impact this season? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you like this video and you want to see more content just like this, hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of our latest content. And guys, I'll catch you on the next one.